We're here in Minneapolis, Minnesota for this matchup between the Packers and the Vikings.
Well, when you talk about the Packers in Minnesota, it's two fan bases that love their football team. And, of course, when you talk about these two teams, they play an exciting brand of football. So I think this day will be no different. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
What usually is the difference maker when you talk Packers-Vikings?
Well, I think it's pretty simple when you think about Packers and Vikings. What's the one constant the Packers have had? Let's see, they had Brett Favre for many years, and now they got Aaron Rodgers. That's what separates these two teams. One has a great quarterback, the other one's still looking for it. That's another first down by the honest.
Greg Jennings left a hell of a quarterback to come in.
We're going to discuss the NFL draft currently, preferably just the first round, so maybe just the second round. We're going to discuss the Madden cover.
Where'd this screen go?
It's over there.
We're going to discuss the Madden cover. Barry Sanders versus Adrian Peterson.
It's broken. I'll fix it tomorrow.
Would you shut the big door, damn it? Shut it. Shut it.
I want a
It's
screen.
broken. I will fix the screen later. Shut
Tomorrow.
the door.
That's the thing tomorrow.
Just 1, 2, 3. I love you. Shut the door.
Give me a screen.
All right, fine. Shut the door and I'll give you a screen.
Screen pass? We can run a halfback
here we go.
screen.
All right,
to
so
the
what we're
right.
going to do, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss the NFL draft. We're going to discuss the first round of the draft. Why are you knocking? I'm looking too. So we're going to discuss the draft. We're going to discuss the Madden cover. We're going to discuss Greg Jennings coming to the Vikings. We hate the Packers because of the Vikings. Kyle here. He's a Packer fan.
Hey,
Beer?
Nick.
Give me a beer.
Nick. What's your iTunes under?
Give me a beer.
Music.
What do you mean what my iTunes is under?
It's under music.
Where do I find it?
No, why do you need my iTunes?
Because you give me your phone and my Pandora is out of time, so it wants to charge me.
It's in your bedroom.
No, click my
click
social. Click social and you'll get Pandora. You can play Pandora right there. Otherwise,
Hey, I heard like 4 Weddings is on.
Okay, so we're going to talk about this. The draft. The NFL draft. The Vikings drafted in 23, 25, and...
Go fuck yourself.
Thank you.
No deal. Thank you. And later in 20...
13, 14?
No. What?
No.
They stole the draft from the Packers.
Oh, 29. 29.
So they picked up Floyd, who's a defensive lineman. They picked up Xavier Rhodes.
Xavier.
Rhodes.
Not
Xavier.
Xavier.
Xavier Rhodes. Whatever. It's a fucking X. Xavier.
There's no E in front of it. It's Xavier, not
it's a
Xavier.
fucking Z.
It's like you're talking about Excalibur, the Knights of the Round Table here. We're talking football here.
In X-Men.
Okay, so we picked up Xavier.
Yeah, but he's saying
Rhodes
Xavier.
And fucking quarterback. We also picked up. We actually traded up. We traded our second, third,
Fourth and
seventh
seventh.
round picks for Patterson.
Well, we traded one of our fourth. Cordero
Patterson, which is a wide receiver, by the way, which is a great pickup. Great pickup for the Vikings because it's a wide receiver.
No.
No.
Well, we have Greg Jennings, but it's a great pickup because it's not Manti Te'o.
Oh my god. By the way, fuck Manti Te'o and his fake girlfriend.
In order to be an NFL player, you need confidence. In order to have a fake girlfriend means you don't have confidence.
It's a lack of confidence. I understand. I get it.
Which probably
drafted
means
by the Chargers.
Yeah, he did get drafted by the Chargers.
Chargers traded up.
Second round, by the way. Second round.
Traded up to draft.
They traded up to get the fake girlfriend Manti Te'o.
Because that helps Phillip Rivers a lot since they lost Vincent Jackson.
So, real quick, defensive lineman, great pickup because Pat Williams is going to be retiring next year.
Well,
next year,
no, Kevin Williams. Pat Williams retired the other day after signing a one-day deal.
Yes. Smoking. Would you shut the hell up, you Packer backer?
So anyway, keep going.
Kevin Williams,
retiring.
Quote unquote, is going to be his last year with the Vikings. So picking up Floyd is supposedly the greatest pickup because it's going to replace Kevin Williams. You lost Percy Harvin in the offseason to Seattle. Go Seattle.
Whoop-de-doo. Shut up.
You shut up too. So Seattle's going to have a boss-ass team this year, but the Vikings are going to have to contend with that because they are going to have to play Seattle at least once this year. So they picked up Patterson as a wide receiver on the 29th pick, which is, we traded up for him. We traded a lot for him. We traded 4 picks for him.
Better be worth it.
Also, the Packers, they picked up a defensive lineman. He's a pass coverage.
He was a defensive end.
Defensive end. I apologize.
It's
Defensive
still the
end.
same thing
He's
as a defensive
pass,
lineman.
He's a pass coverage.
He's a read option specialist.
Read option specialist, yes.
Which is going to help us a lot this year because we got destroyed in the playoffs by the Niners with Colin Kaepernick and his read option.
Kaepernick ran all over them guys.
He ran over.
As far as Sharif Floyd goes, I mean, he's a top 10 pick that fell because of off-field issues, like the Vikings have never dealt with off-field issues. I'm talking, Jerome Simpson likes to weed a little too much. We're talking Bryant McKinney and the other half of the team with the sex boat incident, minus, whatever. So they've dealt with their off-field issues. That's absolutely no problem. But when it comes down to it, he's a top 10 pick that fell because he doesn't know how to behave off the field, which is great for the Vikings. They can deal with it. They can deal with the off-field stuff. I mean, Randy Moss tries to run over a traffic cop and gets a ticket. How are you going to pay for it? Straight cash, homie. That's how they do. They just deal with it.
The crowd for
you're drafting for the on-field. You don't care if the guy likes weed or likes hookers. Nobody cares.
I like weed.
What's he going to do? What's he going to do on the field? That's what
He's
matters.
Play the game, I hope.
He's going to be an on and off starter this first year, his rookie year. As soon as Kevin Williams retires or anybody else, he's going to be running. Well, the Vikings run a 4-3, so he's not going to be put on the nose. But as soon as the guy's going to be a Pro Bowler.
He's
guaranteed.
going to be a producer. He's going to produce. Executive producer. Hopefully he's going to go sacks. Hopefully pass rush. I hope the guy ends up. We're going to move on to Xavier Jones. Cornerback. He's going to hopefully take the place of Kevin, not Kevin Winfield, but Antoine Winfield. I apologize. I am pretty drunk right now. Fucking Antoine Winfield. He moved to Seattle. By the way, as my second team, I'm okay with that. But I fucking love the Vikings. If it comes down to Vikings versus Seattle, I hope the Vikings win. Antoine Winfield left because we didn't want to give him the money he wanted. He moved to Seattle because that's the best chance for the Super Bowl ring.
He wants a title.
He wants a fucking title. He wants a ring. He wants that pretty little gem on his fucking ring finger. That
gem? That thing's like 30 grand in diamonds.
It's a rock. It's a rock.
It's lots of rocks.
It's a lot of rocks. Okay,
you think your husband bought you a great diamond ring? Shit. See a Super Bowl ring.
Year to do that. But I'm just saying, look at the record books. Brad Johnson leaves Minnesota, Tampa Bay next year, Super Bowl. Matt Burke leaves Minnesota, Super Bowl ring with multiple
5 years later.
Nonetheless,
but he still got it. He still got it. Okay, so what we're saying is
most players in the NFL have a tendency to leave their team to go to Super Bowl contender, whether it's right now or down the road.
What about Tony
and win a title? If you look at Green Bay players, same thing. If you look at Tampa Bay players, same thing. If you look at Baltimore players, same thing.
Okay, so Tony Gonzalez didn't leave his team. He stayed on his team. And they still are going to make like 4, but that's a different story.
For the record, Tony Gonzalez left Kansas City to go to Atlanta, who, by the way, has a Super Bowl contender with Matt Ryan at the helm. Their defense needs to get a little better in order to win. Matt Ryan needs to get a little better in the playoffs. What is he, like 1-5 now in the playoffs?
Like we're going to talk Xavier Jones. I want to talk Xavier Jones versus Calvin motherfucking Johnson, Megatron. Do you think that Smith and Jones combined are going to make the Autobots to destroy the Decepticons?
Yes.
First of all, here's what I have to say. When the Vikings played Detroit earlier this year, Calvin Johnson, a.k.a. Megatron, gets laid out by a rookie named Harrison Smith out of the University of Notre Dame, which technically, from my memory of the Transformers movie, makes Harrison Smith Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime, man.
But either way, Xavier Rhodes has some good things going for him. He is a 6 foot, right? 6'2" foot corner. You don't see many nowadays in the hybrid NFL. You get receivers that are anywhere from 6'3" up to 6'6", much like Calvin Johnson.
He's like
6'6".
6'6". All right,
yeah,
Calvin, 6'6".
And they're going against corners like
Antoine Winfield
that are 5'10", 5'11", under 6 foot. 6 foot or under. Xavier Rhodes is going to be the guy that's going to be able to cover these guys.
He's easily going to be.
Stafford's
got the same speed as Calvin Johnson. Rhodes is gonna stick on him like
It's
fucking
speed.
on rice.
Speed is
white
really
on rice.
speed is really not a key right now because there's such an advantage for wide receivers that because there's so many more above 6 feet than
You
there
can
are
barely breathe on
cornerbacks. Matthew Stafford is a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He's a great quarterback. But 90% of his throws to Kelvin Johnson are jump balls.
Which Kelvin Johnson?
Kelvin Johnson
gets
is 6'6".
every time.
Because he's facing a corner that's 5'10".
That's true. So what's going to happen when you put him up against a corner the same size?
There's going to be a lot less
lot
jump
of
balls.
knockdown-
Stafford's
a lot of
really going to
knockdown
have to
balls.
improve his accuracy in order to get them balls to Kelvin Johnson. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of knockdowns or you're going to get a lot of picks.
A lot. So what we're hoping, this is going to be from the deepest and darkest of our souls, that we hope that Xavier Jones fucks the shit out of Megatron. Just white on rice that motherfucker and just holds it down to nothing.
In all
Hopefully stays on it.
reasonability here, Kelvin Johnson's really the only weapon that the Detroit Lions have.
Other than,
I mean, Scheffler's a good tight end. Don't get me wrong, but really, your go-to guy. You look at the great teams. They all have more than one go-to guy. They don't necessarily
just one
have
guy.
a
It's
go.
not just one guy.
They don't have a go-to guy because they have so many options. Look at Tom Brady and the Patriots in their
Oh my
dynasty.
God, Welker. Well, okay, so Edelman isn't really much of a go-to guy anymore, but he's got Gronkowski, he's got fucking Hernandez, he's
Exactly.
got fucking Wes Welker. By the way, Gronkowski is a
Well, Wes
monster.
Welker went to Peyton Manning.
Wes Welker did get traded this year, but Gronkowski, I'm honestly
He didn't get traded. He
hoping-
went as a free agent.
I'm honestly hoping that Kyle Rudolph ends up like
The red zone reindeer.
dude, fucking Rudolph ends on radio, man. Hopefully he ends up relatively close to Gronkowski. Gronkowski is a monster.
Well, we already know. See, the thing is about Gronkowski in New England is that New England throws the ball. Period. You got
Dude,
Tom Brady.
it's
They
Tom Brady. He's
throw
gonna be
the
chucking the
ball.
ball.
They throw the ball. They have so many weapons that all of a sudden you throw a decent tight end in there in Rob Gronkowski, and all of a sudden you have an underneath option.
It's just,
So
yeah,
nobody's
right.
open down low or up top. So you just go to Gronkowski time after time after time because teams know you throw the ball, so they're going to cover deep.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about now is we're going to talk about the new wide receiver coming to the Vikings. I know we got a little off topic on Xavier Jones, but the guy's going to cover who he needs to cover. Hopefully, he's going to be starting. The guy's going to be good. The new wide receiver, Patterson, who's going to replace hopefully he's going to replace the Christy Harvin. who moves to
Michael
Seattle.
Jenkins.
Bet money he doesn't get
oh
a
my
headache
God.
this year.
Michael Jenkins
That's the
and
big thing.
Simpson, who, working on catching the ball.
Simpson
Okay,
likes
so-
to weed a little too much. If he got high before the game, he'd do much better.
I agree. Both of them.
If they let him smoke weed in the locker room, it'd be a lot
So we're
better.
going to talk about Patterson. I feel like Danny here, he knows more about Patterson than anybody else. I feel like he's a new player. He's a new wide receiver. He's a new target for...
You got that right.
We're not talking to him right now. That's Scott. Patterson is a new wide receiver. He's a new target for Christian Ponder, who, by the way, isn't superstar material, but he's a quarterback. He's a quarterback that can throw the ball.
Here's the deal. With Patterson, he's the number 2 wide receiver in the draft.
He was supposed to go sooner, wasn't he?
There's a lot of... Because this year's draft is so deep, there's not a lot of teams with needs at skill positions. That's why you only saw one quarterback go in E.J. Manuel out of Florida State. You didn't see any running backs go.
Yeah.
There's not a lot...
Until the second round.
There's not a lot of teams out there that need skill positions. The Vikings were, but they needed a wide receiver, but they had greater had greater needs on a defensive end, on the defensive side of the ball, which is where Floyd and Rhodes come in.
Yep.
So, I mean, basically with Cordero Patterson here, it adds a number 2 receiver. They signed Greg Jennings in the offseason out of Green Bay, who has a proven track record.
Which is it's a good pick, right?
It's a good pickup.
He is a veteran. He's not necessarily in his prime.
He wasn't necessarily a number 1 in Green Bay
he's a
because
good
Aaron Rodgers
veteran to
did
pick up.
have a lot of weapons with Jordy Nelson being one of the top scorers in fantasy leagues the year before.
White boy. Whoop, whoop.
And he had so many weapons with Donald Driver coming in as a fourth receiver. Aaron Rodgers has all sorts of weapons on the receiving
By the
end.
way,
Greg Jennings becomes free agent.
We
Green
can't-
Bay thinks that they can, afford to lose one receiver
can't take
because they are so
away-
deep in the position.
We can't take away anything from Aaron Rodgers because the guy's a good fucking quarterback.
He is.
I mean, I cannot.
More
as
than
much as
likely a Hall of Famer.
I will say it right now. I freaking hate the Packers. I'm a Vikings fan through and through, with my secondary team being Seattle. But I hate the Packers. But I can't hate on Aaron Rodgers. The guy's a good quarterback. The guy's knows what he's doing. And for them to give up Greg Jennings, who's a great veteran, who's a great person to throw to, Kyle. Okay, we're gonna talk to Kyle here because he's a Packer fan. He likes his Packers. He loves his Packers. He hates the Vikings. He's the opposite of all three of us. Literally, I'm thinking about throwing him over this balcony onto his own car. Actually,
Bad idea for me.
it's a nice car. It's a WRX, brand new fucking Subi. All right, so Packers.
That being said,
Them getting rid of Greg Jennings. What do they have left?
all right. Just to start this off, I'm like Nick stated, he's a hardcore Viking fan, hates the Packers. I'm the same way, love the Packers, hate the Vikings, but I have respect for AP. Just going off topic a little bit, second most yards rushed in the NFL ever. Green Bay has not had a running game since Orson Evans. So I have respect for the guy. I don't hate him, but fucking I wish we had a running back. So that being said, respect. That being said, Greg Jennings going to the Vikings. It was a lot like, my feelings aren't as bad as when Brett Favre went to the Vikings. Brett Favre went to the Vikings, I was pissed because
I was pissed.
he sold out and all that stuff. But
Brett
Brett Favre.
Fuck Brett Favre.
But-
Okay, continue.
That being said, Green Bay made they made a good choice in letting go of Jennings because Jennings wanted franchise tag. Green Bay looked at him, said, "No, you were injured half last season. You've been more injury prone lately.
He is injured.
We're not going to give you this money for what you gave us last season." Greg Jennings gave us an amazing season. I'm not sure how long he's with us, but he still gave us a lot of good receivers, or a lot of good seasons. And the reason why we can afford to get rid of Greg Jennings is because we have Randall Cobb. We have got Jordy Nelson. We got
Jordy
James
Nelson,
Jones.
by the way, is the Wes Welker of the Midwest.
Yes.
The guy is fucking phenomenal. Okay,
Oh,
so what
Still
about
an
running backs? Running backs for Green Bay. They just picked up a brand new one in the second round.
Yep.
I haven't really watched much of the.
Lacey out of Alabama, which is a good pick.
Yeah,
Alabama is a
But
throwing
what
team.
about, what about Stark? What about
But-
Stark? The guy, not Stark,
James
but,
Stark.
Dwan Harris.
Dwan
Dwan
Harris.
Harris.
The guy fucking proved himself in those last two games. And yeah, they lost. They didn't make it to the Super Bowl, but Harris, he stepped up. Harris took the load on his shoulders, and he did what he needed to do. Why would they pick up a new running back? Like, why do
Don't
you?
know.
Why do you
They,
think?
they
I don't
see
know.
something in Lacey. I
wish
mean,
I could say
Alabama is runs a pro offense. It's a throwing team. You see that with A.J. McCarron and the receivers that they've had over the last few years in their national championship runs. But Lacey is a guy that's, I think, a little bit of a reach for Green Bay because he's kind of unproven.
No.
Because Alabama has been a throwing team, but the times that we have seen Lacey run the ball, he's been good at it. Now, he's had an offensive line in front of him.
Does
No,
Green Bay-
as
does
long as Green
have
Bay-
that offensive line?
Yes, because for one reason, they can protect Rodgers to throw the ball down the
That's true.
field.
He's got all the fucking day.
Nope.
He's got all fucking day.
They had
Now-
last season to fix that one.
If you can protect your quarterback, you can protect your running back. Bottom line. So I think Lacey will probably come in battle for the number one spot, whether he'll get it over Dwan Harris or James Starks or any of those guys.
Benson
It's gonna be a
signed.
battle. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a
Yeah.
fight. It's gonna be a fight.
They wanna see
Cedric
who's
Benson
gonna do
is
Cedric Benson. That's
past
who
his
I want to hear
prime.
about.
he's a backup from now on.
You know,
He's towards the end of his career.
He's got the know-how.
But that was in Cincinnati.
True story.
And that was before the AFC East was a stronghold. I mean, we're talking like he was good when the Patriots were in the height of their dynasty. When Baltimore was building their defense around Ed Reed and Ray Lewis.
Yeah. By the way, different story. Okay, so we're gonna hit up on the Madden cover now. We're gonna talk about
Actually,
that.
before we do that,
Before we do that, Kyle, the Packer
Well, I kind of got cut off. I got cut off with the Greg Jennings thing.
Okay, continue. What do you want? Greg Jennings.
I want to say, Greg Jennings going to Minnesota is going to be a good thing for Minnesota because Jennings had the quarterbacks. He had Favre. He had Rodgers. Greg Jennings can give pointers to Christian Ponder on what he can do better to improve his game.
Let him talk.
Yeah, you do.
Continue. I'm sorry.
But Greg Jennings is like the veteran. He can guide the rookie receivers and the offensive line to kind of what they need to do to be on the right track.
So, to rebuttal your thing here, I'm going to agree with you a little bit. Okay, he doesn't really need to guide the offensive line. The offensive line is there in Minnesota. Okay,
Well, like the rookie receivers.
but the receivers, were young in Minnesota. Patterson coming in as a rookie. We've got some other guys. Jerome Simpson has never been anything more than number 2 at best.
Right.
He's a solid number 3 receiver. Now, with losing Percy, they lose a slot receiver. Who they're going to put there is no problem. But I think the big thing with Greg Jennings, with working with Favre and working with Rodgers, is he's going to bring a lot of knowledge and a lot of teaching to Christian Ponder, who's still a young quarterback. Coming into his 4th year, is still going to be a good quarterback. He's seen the greats. He has seen the greats.
He's played with the greats.
Ponder's a good quarterback. I don't see him as a superstar, but I will not rule him out as a good quarterback.
Well, that's
He's
what I'm
a
saying.
good quarterback.
If Jennings can come in and teach these young receivers and teach Ponder, he doesn't have to teach the offensive line.
Yeah.
The offensive line is there.
It's solid.
But you have some. I mean, with the Vikings situation, you have either young receivers or receivers that have spent a few years in the organization and have been 4 and 5 receivers.
But they're not. What's the word?
Jennings is going to come in.
Not distinguished, but consecutive. They're not consistent. They're not consistent receivers.
You said consecutive. And then switched to
I
consistent.
understand. I switched the word. But they're not consistent
But either way,
receivers.
Jennings is going to come in and he's going to teach these receivers things they need to know. But he's also going to teach. We don't necessarily need receivers. These receivers. Patterson looks really good.
We need the veteran receiver to teach our young
Patterson is going to come in and be a number 2 receiver. Patterson is going to come in and be a number 2 receiver right off the bat. But what he really needs to do is he needs to get Ponder in there and teach Ponder some things.
I think that's what he's going to do here. And you're going to
Because
see
he's played with the
Christian
greats, so
Ponder.
he knows what it takes to be a champion. He knows what it takes to be great in the NFL.
I think we're going to see a different Christian Ponder as the year progresses because Greg Jennings is going to give him that input and insight that he needs to be a great quarterback.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to move on.
6-1.
Last topic,
Charlie
we got
Coyle.
the Madden cover.
I'm sorry,
We
Nico.
got,
Is this a
The
bag?
Madden curse. I want to talk about the Madden curse because a lot of people have said that fucking Megatron has escaped, quote unquote, the Madden curse. But in reality, what the fuck did his team do? Like, what did his team do? Nothing. They
didn't make the playoffs.
They didn't make the playoffs. They
He
definitely
himself did well.
He himself broke the receiving yards. And props to him, dude. Like, hell yeah, dude. You're awesome. You're great. But you receiving over 2,000 yards did nothing when it comes to touchdowns, when it comes to winning games.
Playoffs.
So I feel like the Madden curse still touched him. It touched a lot of guys. It might have touched his PP. I hope not, but
Probably did.
You think he's got a glove on his PB2?
Maybe.
I don't know. But good luck, man.
I used
Good
to
luck.
totally
Okay, so we're
No
gonna talk Adrian Peterson
AP.
versus Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders ended up winning it. He took it. Barry Sanders won the cover of Madden. 68%, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me if I am, but I might be. I'm pretty drunk. So
No.
Dylan Ale.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
the
so-
correct answer is who gives a shit.
I'm okay with this because for the sole fact that I don't want the Madden curse to hit Adrian Peterson.
I don't either.
But the Madden curse is
Adrian
unofficially already
Peterson
hit
is the
Adrian
greatest.
Peterson.
I'm going to make this statement right now. Adrian Peterson, one of the greatest running backs of all time.
Coming from the Packer fan, Packer fan,
out of Palestine.
Packer fan, I will back that up 100%.
Adrian Peterson.
So
Out of the University of Oklahoma and high school in Palestine, Texas. I mean,
He had his
Texas high
Adrian
school
Peterson
football.
had his career injury. All right.
he did. He did. He was supposed to, quote unquote, supposed to be out
What?
for a full season.
as far
He
He
said,
got injured.
"Fuck that
He got
shit."
injured. Came back.
And
9
fucking-
yards short
Oh,
of the
9 yards
season
short.
rushing record with 10 less carries.
9 yards short.
Green
with
Bay.
10 less carries.
Green Bay.
Kyle, shut the hell up. Okay, so
9
Adrian
yards
Peterson-
versus
okay, so we're
411,
gonna talk
you
about the
make
Madden.
it
Give us
good.
time.
I would feel it wouldn't. I don't think it would do anything.
Brett Favre.
He's not going to get hurt. He's
Brett Favre
hungry.
got
He's
traded.
determined.
He's not very good. We're gonna straight up talk about the Madden
Madden
curse. Larry Fitzgerald. The year he was on the Madden. Ooh, pizza.
So much hockey.
Shut the hell up, Packer fan. So the year he was on the Madden cover, him and Troy Polamalu shared the Madden cover. The year he was on it with Polamalu, he got the least amount of passing yards that he has ever gotten.
receiving yards.
Receiving yards, passing yards, receiving yards, in his career, along with Troy Polamalu got injured in the preseason, and then consecutively and periodically, I'm pretty drunk, I apologize for not pronouncing my words, injured throughout the season. Troy Polamalu did not have a good season. We're going to talk about Drew Brees,
Drew Brees.
who ended up on the Madden cover, and then the following year got hit by the scandal. The whole bounty
scandal.
Yeah, the bounty scandal.
Bounty scandal.
Asshole.
But Drew Brees really had nothing to do with the bounty scandal.
You're right,
It was,
he did,
it was
but I
Greg
feel
Williams,
like-
the defensive coordinator,
I
and the
feel like
defense.
the Madden curse affects more than just you. It affects your team, you and your team. Because Calvin Johnson is
Well,
a great. Calvin Johnson is a great example.
It's. I mean, your star player gets put on the Madden cover. If your star player doesn't do well, what do
Peyton
you think?
Hillis, he disappeared off the map.
He went to Cleveland.
Well, he was still on the cover.
He was
as a
thinking
good-
he was
a
thinking
good
Adrian
fucking
Peterson yards here. Okay, he's thinking I'm gonna be the number one guy on this team, on this offense. When you got Colt McCoy as a quarterback of all people,
Colt McCoy. Oh shit! I apologize for that loud bang.
Bam.
Colt McCoy isn't a bad quarterback.
Oh.
He's
Colt
not, he's
McCoy
not a
is-
bad quarterback.
when you can't really cut it at a college level, doesn't usually mean you can make it. I mean,
You go to Cleveland.
well, there are instances where I'm proving it wrong.
True story. I
You
mean,
know,
and
you look at, for instance,
Cleveland is where college
the-
players go to die.
the captain of the greatest show on turf,
Not
Kurt Warner.
necessarily.
Kurt
Mike
Warner
Holmgren
at St.
was
Louis.
the franchise around, I think.
He played at the time Division II at the University of Northern Iowa down in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Came up and won a Super Bowl, was a Super Bowl MVP, won a title. But track records, there's more non-existent guys.
The greatest Super Bowl
Or
ever.
from just in general.
In general,
In general.
if you don't do much in college, I mean, it's not much. That not necessarily going true for everybody, but it goes for a lot. I mean, Colt McCoy in the national title game when they played
I don't know.
down in Texas, I believe they played Alabama his senior year, and he went out with a shoulder injury. That was your first choice, and whether maybe this guy isn't so stable.
Okay, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna hit up Brad Jennings moving to Minnesota.
We've already hit that.
I apologize.
As far as the Madden cover goes,
Madden cover.
And cover.
So why should Adrian Peterson get it over Barry Bonds or Barry Sanders? By the way, fuck Barry Bonds. Barry Sanders. He got it over Adrian Peterson, which I'm happy about.
Well, who'd you guys all vote for the cover?
I didn't. I didn't vote.
I voted AP.
Oh my God, I would love
Barry Sanders.
I would love to see Adrian Peterson get it. He deserves it. He deserves everything in the world. But Barry Sanders got it. Madden cover, which is a good thing.
Motherfucker doesn't even play anymore.
Yeah,
but he's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best ever.
I know. I'm
He's
not saying
probably
he's not.
gonna tear an MCL, getting the kids a fucking apple juice or something. I'm just
Grocery
saying,
store, man.
fucking Madden curse all over again. So we
Here's the
covered-
deal.
Yeah.
As it comes to the Madden 25 cover,
If Barry Sanders doesn't get injured in his real life, that doesn't count as breaking the Madden curse.
Yeah, no.
it's
Play
basically
football.
for me
Just
what it
get
comes
that out there.
what it comes down to It's 25 years of Matt. Who's the greatest athlete that has ever graced the cover of Matt?
Brett Favre. No, I'm totally kidding on that one.
No. We're about to
It's gotta
throw
be
you on the
Barry.
fucking balcony.
I said I was totally kidding on that one, idiots.
I mean, Barry's got to be one of the greatest players ever, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Not to mention one of the if not, probably the best running back that's ever played.
I don't know,
today.
man. Fucking Smith for the Vikings. The guy was
Robert Smith?
Smith.
Are you kidding me?
Guy
That's
was
like
phenomenal.
That's like Michael
was
Bennett.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Michael Bennett plays 3 years behind Ron Dane at Wisconsin, who wins the Heisman his senior year. All of a sudden, you have this little-known guy that sat behind, forever known as the guy that sat behind Ron Dane at Wisconsin, and Michael Bennett comes in, starts his senior year, has a pretty decent year, but Wisconsin, for the most part, is known for, much like a lot of your Midwestern schools, especially like the University of Iowa and the University of Illinois, to producing great offensive linemen, because where else are you going to find a 6'6" corn-fed motherfucker that's going to play the offensive line?
Not in Minnesota.
Okay, so you obviously you're a little more educated in the college era versus us. We're more of the professional era. So who do you feel should have gone very first in the draft? Like based off stats, based off their position, based off who you think should have gone first.
Who went second? The Focal or whatever?
It was a defensive, it was an offensive lineman, defensive lineman.
Focal, whatever.
Yeah,
he should have got number one,
lineman.
but I think Kansas City, they liked the guy they picked a little better, but they still made a good pick. The guy that number one, number two, Focal, whatever the fuck his name is, he should have got number one. He should have got number one. No doubt. I mean, everybody kind of knew the first couple picks were going to be offensive linemen, which necessarily
It's a weird draft this year.
Not necessarily weird. I mean, you hit it every couple of years, where you get teams that just, most teams in the NFL right now just don't need skilled players, so they're drafting these kind of guys. And some teams have found success at drafting the best player possible.
Do you think first round draft matters versus second round draft? Because
no,
based off the current draft class.
Bullshit.
Absolutely not.
A lot of people are taking first round drafts and they think they're the quote unquote the best. But a lot of times this draft produces a lot of second round, third round, fourth round drafts that actually make a better impact.
Because
greater impact.
Well, you just made my
we
point
did our
right there.
draft on Madden, on Xbox, AP lasted until like round 3 and I picked his ass.
Yeah, but that's crazy. Whoever didn't pick AP first was fucking
You don't have to give them a lot.
So,
Walk them a little bit.
this draft, it's different because
It's the same. No.
the first round draft isn't the superstars. The superstars go in second, third, fourth, fifth round drafts. Like the people that need them end up getting them later in the draft.
See, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you that's where you're wrong.
Okay.
No offense to you, but the thing is, college, as a guy coming from, that's played college football, each level is a step. High school, you think, you're fast-paced, you're good. You're an all-stater. You go to college and all of a sudden you're third string. You work your way up. The NFL is the same thing, okay? The thing is, with the draft, you don't know who's going to be a superstar. Sure, he was a superstar at the University of Texas. Sure, he was a superstar at Alabama or USC or Michigan. It doesn't matter. Because once you get to the NFL, it's a totally different story. The game is faster paced. I mean, basically, what you're doing is you're trying to get these players. That's why we have the combine. You are trying to find, as in the teams, your general managers, your coaching staff, everybody is trying to find the best player that's going to fit your needs. Now, there are teams that have made the fact that they draft, their strategy going into the draft is draft the best player possible, not based on need. And they've made it a success. Much like Green Bay has done it in the past with guys like Donald Driver, Aaron Rodgers, for example, knowing you have Brett Favre there. We're going to bring in a quarterback that can learn under him. Green Bay is a good example of that. But then again, you have a lot of teams that have tried that have totally failed. Case in point, the Oakland Raiders. Draft the best player possible and look at them. The best part of their team is Darren McFadden. I mean, who's been quarterbacking their team the last few years? I mean, Carson Palmer was required to trade, but they gave up a third-round pick for Terrell Pryor. The guy is never going to see the light of day in the NFL. I mean, you got Jason Campbell.
Wide receiver.
He would be... is yet to be proven in the NFL. I'm not going to say he's not a good he's not a good receiver, he's a bad receiver, but the point, in fact, is that he's never had a quarterback that can throw him the ball. Now, this year is different because Carson Palmer's been there, but Oakland has been so used to giving Darren McFadden the ball the last few years because they haven't had a quarterback that they haven't strayed much from it. And now he's gone. So who do they have? Jacoby Ford? I'm sorry, the guy was good in college, but he's not a number 1 or a number 2 receiver in the NFL. Straight up.
All right, with that said, we're going to move on to the Packers. Kyle, obviously, all of us hate the Packers, right, Danny? Hate the Packers.
Yeah,
Fuck the
definitely.
Packers. All right. Blake, fuck the Packers.
Fudge Packers.
But just because
Packers. Okay,
for
so we're
the
talking to
record,
Kyle.
I'm not gonna hate on him just because I'm not. Just because I hate the Packers doesn't mean I'm a Vikings fan, number 1, but still.
He has dated.
I am a Vikings fan through and through, but I'm not just going to hate on the Packers just because I hate the Packers. I think I've proven that already.
Yep.
And they've done a damn good job.
All right, so we're going to talk. Packers picked up a
Defensive end and a running back.
defensive end and a running back. Kyle, being a Packer fan, we're going to end with this. He's literally the only authority we have on the Packers because all 3 of us would hate the Packers. But Danny does not necessarily hate them, but
He hates somebody, hates them.
he's a Vikings fan. All right, we're all Vikings fans. Let's just talk about this. Kyle here is a Packers fan, and how do you feel about the last 2 drafts, defensive lineman and a running back? How do you feel about that?
All right, how do I feel about that?
What do you feel about that?
I feel good. The first-round pick was a great choice for Dante Jones, I believe his name is. I might have said it wrong, but saying that
I'm not sure.
he being a read option, especially defensive lineman for the Green Bay, especially with Kaepernick. We'll find out in preseason week 1 when they play the Niners.
Against Kaepernick.
Against Kaepernick, yes.
The read option
You can't
quarterback.
judge him on week
Right.
1. It's week 1.
I know, but we can see if there's a little bit of improvement from last year's playoff game. You can do a little bit of
As far as
comparison.
the young guys go, you're
Yeah.
not going to have a system to judge about.
Right. But they also did a good thing because it proved last year when Clay Matthews was injured for Green Bay, our defense sucked. No pressure on the quarterback.
It suffered.
Yeah, no pressure on the quarterback. Linebackers weren't doing anything. That's why they got rid of DJ Smith. He's no longer with Green Bay. So they're hoping this guy can kind of do that and be a hybrid backer. They might put him at outside linebacker with Clay Matthews and see what he's good of. Second-round draft pick picking up a running back. Don't feel too good about that.
What about Harrison? What about Harrison Smith? Harris Smith.
No, DeJuan Harris.
It's DeJuan Harris.
Whatever.
Harrison Smith is on
The
the
running
Either way,
backs.
I don't care about the Packers, but
The running backs we have, I haven't really followed through on this yet. DeJuan Harris, Alex Smith, Ryan Grant, Cedric Benson, and James
Cedric
Stark.
Benson. What about him? He's going to add an aspect of
He's going to be a good.
veterancy.
He's going to be a good third down running back. I think Benson will be. He'd be like good power back for third downs. James Starks, my opinion, get rid of him. Get rid of him. You mean
James Starks is more
Starks.
fullback than he is.
He's a
Yeah.
power.
I mean, he could be the Green Bay's version of Jerome Ford.
yeah, but we got John Kuhn, but I don't know. He's getting pretty. He's been there a while, so
Kuhn's been there a while.
So I don't know.
What about like
Alex Smith, I would say get rid of him. They tried him when Cedric Benson went out. He didn't produce anything for offense. Good running back, but just didn't produce like we needed him to balance out our passing game. DeJuan Harris, on the other hand, he went above and beyond. Every time he got the ball, he'd break through tackles. He'd get big gains. I think he's what we need to even out our passing game on the ground.
Okay, so last little bit. How do you feel about the Greg Jennings to the Vikings trade, based off strictly a Packer fan idea? Favre came here from the Packers. Longwell came here from the Packers.
Sharper.
Yeah, nobody cares.
You got
but
Sharper.
we got Greg Jennings. He's
Yeah,
going to
true.
provide a veteran wide receiver for us as the Vikings. How do you feel as a Packer fan seeing him come to the Vikings? Your rival, by the way. The guy that absolutely, we hate each other, but
Yeah.
best of friends.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about Jennings coming here to the Vikings?
Honestly, how I feel about that is I am actually really happy about that because I'm very happy as a Green Bay fan. There's going to be some Green Bay fans that are douchebags and they're going to boo him. You know what? It's almost like Brett Favre's situation. Brett Favre gave us 15 great seasons. He got booed at Lambeau as a Viking. Fuck you guys. He was our quarterback. He brought us a ring. You know, fuck you guys that booed Brett Favre. Greg
He's
Jennings.
a good quarterback.
He is.
Brett Favre was a phenomenal quarterback.
Yeah.
The guy. But I understand. We're not talking about Favre.
Brett Favre. Brett Favre.
We're talking about Greg Jennings. The guy was a good quarterback. But Greg Jennings, how do you feel?
He's going to do. I feel that with Greg Jennings in the helm, we are going to see more and more Green Bay, Minnesota games, which is what I am most excited for. Like
the
we
close
saw
games.
Like we saw last year, Week 17, Green Bay, Minnesota. Minnesota won that. Me as a Green Bay fan was not angry because it was such a good game. I want to see more games like that in the future.
You know, Green Bay, even without Jennings, is a great team.
Oh yeah.
With, you know, there are certain things would I change about him? Yeah. But as a Vikings fan, there are certain things I would change about the Vikings.
Yep.
Of course.
The big thing I choose Green Bay is
having
having
talent like Patterson or Jennings. It's just going to make those games so much better.
It's going to give Christian Ponder something to throw
It's
to.
going to be.
I really want to see.
It's going to be down to wire games. It's going to come down to Mason Crosby versus Blair Wall.
Mason Crosby. We're not talking Mason Crosby right now because Mason Crosby
Sucks.
question mark. We're gonna leave it to Blake.
Sucks.
Yeah. So
you're going to see a lot more heated. I mean, the rivalry is already there.
I
He's
hope
kicking.
it's closer
It's
though.
just going to make the rivalry bigger.
I hope so, man. I hope
Mason
so.
Crosby / Cundiff.
6-1.
Kind of. Okay, so we're gonna leave with Blair Walsh.
Wow.
Blair Walsh, I'm drunk, is a fucking beast, by the way. We're going to end with that. Legatron, which the Rams kicker...
Legatron is Jason Hansen.
Yeah, which the Rams
Just
kicker
everybody
already
keeps
has.
calling him
But
Legatron.
we're going to move on. The Vikings kicker, Blair Walsh over Mason Crosby, is easily the better pick. It'll be good. It'll be good to see.
Right
It'll be
now,
good to see.
That pick
If
me video where he
Mason
hit the church
Crosby
bell
and
is
Blair Walsh
bullshit.
knowing what we know now, as of last season, knowing what we know now, Blair Walsh versus Mason Crosby would be Blair Walsh.
Easily.
If they were both rookies at the same time, that'd be a tough pick because Mason Crosby was very solid when he was young. He's had
Agreed,
some troubles,
agreed.
but
Mason Crosby's kicking
he's
for his
always
job
been-
this year.
He's always been
Okay, so what we're gonna end with is the tie between the Packers and the Vikings right now.
a coin toss.
It really, honestly, it is between
If they
heads
were
and
both-
tails.
If they were both rookies,
The
way
Vikings
that Crosby
picked up
as a
great
rookie,
players.
Walsh picked as a
The
rookie,
Packers
it's a coin
picked up
toss.
decent players. The Packers, it's going to be interesting to see how the Packers develop. And we'll talk to Kyle here about how the Packers go and how the Packers know and what they do. Because I don't follow the Packers. I follow the Vikings. They got some good picks this year. They're going to do good this year. I fucking hope so. AP for fucking 2,300 yards. Calling it right now. It's on the video. Fucking called it. Boom. Done.
Not gonna happen.
Minnesota 4.
Got too many weapons.
-1 Packer fan. And we love you all.
Did you just say 2004?
Good night.
No, I said miss peace and chicken grease, motherfucker.
Never give up in this game. A lot of crazy things happen at the end.
Wait up. That's fine, yeah.
They're going to bypass the point after and try to pick up the two-point conversion. Here's the handoff, and they'll run it. And they will not convert here on the two-point conversion. Good stand by the defense. The Vikings are ready to return the kickoff. They want the football back as they line up now in an onside kick formation. The onside kick is turned away, and the receiving team has it. The Vikings come onto the field for their next series. This game is about to finish. First down and 10. Challenging the defense. Pass is picked off by Tramon Williams. They've got him down there.
Well, I have to say, that's just a terrible decision by the quarterback there. He's got to know when you're in a situation like this, you just cannot make that type of pass.
And coming up next is the post-game wrap-up, brought to you by Gatorade, G-Series Recover. Well, the lights were bright, and the team was up for the occasion here, winning in prime time.
Nothing like it, man. Winning in prime time when you know it's all about you. And I've said many times, today's football players, they love being on the big stage. Well, they were today, and they got it done.
For Bill Sims and all the crew, Jim Nance saying so long.